And welcome back to the Inland Sports Show, our fourth and final segment. Save the best for last, I guess. UC Riverside men's basketball coach David Patrick in the house. He's a globetrotter this time of year, trying to, I guess, squeeze in some family time in between all the basketball stuff, right, Coach?
For sure. We're just getting back from Hawaii with my family, but yeah, back on the road come this week.
Now, we will talk some Highlander hoops here, but I know you're real excited because on Sunday this weekend, you're actually leaving to join the Australian national basketball team. Can you talk about that, where you're headed and, what you guys are up to?
Yeah, I was privileged enough to be asked to be an assistant coach on the Australian national team, as you mentioned, and we take off to prepare for the World Championships, which are this September in China. And so we have about a 3-week training camp in Melbourne and Perth, Australia, and then we'll head over to China in September and try to get a medal there at the World Championships.
Now, you said, and there's been some great NBA players to come out of Australia, but you said Australia's never medaled, right? Never
medaled at a senior championship, whether it be the Worlds or the Olympics, and so that's a huge goal of ours, and we definitely have a team that's capable of doing that this year.
Now, do you have any family members or godsons that play basketball?
Yeah, I got some that play, and I got some that are good. So I got one that's good. So yeah, he's a part of the squad, and we'll see whether he'll play in the games in China. But he'll be a part of training camp come the national tryouts there next week.
Obviously, we're talking about Ben Simmons of the 76ers, and he had a nice little payday recently, didn't he?
Yeah, I think he can pay me back for the for the meals I bought him over the years. But he deserves it. Anybody that gets $170 million at 23 years old can definitely pay back their godparents.
He's not doing too bad for himself. So we're excited about you joining the Australian national team soon, but. Coach, before you know it, the season's going to be here for UC Riverside. In fact, here we've got your upcoming schedule, which we wanted to talk about here on the Inland Sports Show. And we'll get to some of these games, but I want to start with the very first one. On the road at Nebraska, that's a great contest for you guys.
It's a great contest against a great coach. Fred Hoiberg is now their head coach. He just took over after leaving the Chicago Bulls last year. But it's a great test for our team in an environment where there's probably 16,000, 17,000 on opening night. But they're a new team like us, a young team, and it'd be a great challenge for us on opening night up at Nebraska.
Now, I really like the non-conference. You've got a game on the road at Washington State, so you have a Pac-12 opponent in there. There's Air Force.
Your favorite.
It was snow. It was a blizzard last time. I thought I heard somewhere in the back of the bus, you're like, we're not going back to Air Force. But there's Air Force. That's a hard place to play. That was a good team last year.
They were good and very challenging for us. I thought we played them pretty well up there under the circumstances.
Probably should have beat them, to be honest.
And could have beat them. They have everybody back. But I thought a game after going into the new year where we could stay on the West, wouldn't take you back to Michigan or too far east, and a game that I think our guys want to try and get another win up there, or try to win up there, I should say.
And another game on that list I really like, that's the at Fresno State game. The Bulldogs have had some pretty good teams, and the Mountain West Conference is tough for basketball, but that's a tough place to win at Fresno State.
Really tough place to win. Justin Hudson, their head coach, did a great job last year in his first year there. But they're a team that has a lot of Inland Empire players on their team, and California kids who our guys are familiar with. And I think it's a game where we can drive to and gives us a chance to kind of play a UC Irvine type team who are the upper echelon of our league, but a like size team for our league that we can play against.
Speaking of UC Irvine, at least for the Big West, to see them do well in the NCAA tournament kind of validates maybe where the Big West is going, like the level of play. Like, hey, man, Big West has some good basketball. There's some good players, some good coaches. That's a high level.
It's a high level, and I've talked after my first year to all my colleagues in the profession nationally that it's definitely the level of play is better than people would expect, and the coaching is amazing. When you talk about Russell Turner, you talk about Jim Less at UC Davis, you have Mark Gottfried up there at Northridge, and then Dan Van Munson, who's won everywhere he's been over at Long Beach. There's not a night off in terms of preparation and who you come up against in this league. And so it's a great league, and I'm so glad that Irvine was able to at least put the league on a pedestal when they got in the tournament.
Yeah, in fact, they should have been in the Sweet 16 probably.
Yeah.
But man, that was a good run by the Eaters. But we're talking Highlanders here. Coach, when you look at your roster, is Dikembe Martin finally a senior? I feel like we've been talking about, well, because he was at North High too. I feel like we've been talking about this guy forever, but man, he's done a lot for this program. He's kind of been the poster boy, being a local Riverside guy, but he's finally a senior. You hoping to maybe see him have a huge, senior season on his way out?
Look, Dikembe's definitely worked at it this offseason, and probably didn't finish the way he or we would have wanted to finish the year last year on our last game, but he's coming to work. And the one thing I'd say about Dikembe for me is anytime you get a new coach, it's hard to buy in, especially when you've been the man your whole time. And he's bought in with me from day one and my staff. And anything we ask of, he does. And that's on the floor and off the floor, whether it's academics or on the basketball floor. And so I'm hopeful he has a good year and we have a good year. And you're only as good as your senior leadership. And he's proven to do that so far this summer for us.
Well, you got, DK, and I don't want to leave, people out on purpose, but you had some great freshmen last year in Dragon Elkaz, Callum McCray, Zach Watson saw some minutes, but we're going to see some new guys this year for UCR as well that I know you're really excited about. Who are these guys? Yeah,
look, those three you mentioned played a lot of minutes as freshmen, and that does nothing but help you in your program. But, we had some guys sitting out last year I think can contribute in this league, and I think George Wilborn, who was a UTSA transfer, who averaged 8 and 7 over there in the Conference USA, should come in and help us early. We have Arinze Chittum from Washington State that sat out for us last year, who'll be eligible come the Washington State game. Should help us a lot in the interior. He's athletic, 6'10", 6'11", able to shoot the ball and block shots. We also had Daniel Madding, who originally signed with Texas Tech, sitting out. Who's another kid, 6'9", that gives us some more length and some more depth in the interior, and also makes us a little bit more athletic. And I'm excited about Kai Cabellas, who was a grad transfer from Pacific. He's won a lot of basketball at North Dakota, played for a great coach in Damon Stoudemire at Pacific, and he started in some big games and meaningful games. And so I think his leadership and his age will help this group of young men we have.
So it's a great schedule. You got a great roster as well. Coach, going back to last season, you guys really turned a corner shooting the three. Like it was a pretty good shooting team, especially early on in the season. When you look at this year's team, where are you hoping the hallmarks are? Where are you hoping this team is going to be strong at throughout the year? Is it going to be rebounding, defense, shooting the threes again? Where are you hoping to see this team just really come out strong?
Well, the three-point line's moved back in college basketball, so that's going to, I think, drop some percentages on every team.
Except for Dragon, man. He's got range.
Yeah, he's got range. At least he thinks he does, but no, he has.
Hope he's watching right now.
Him and Dikembe, to their credit, finished both tied for 40th in the country shooting the three. And our team was 21st in the country shooting the basketball. So we were able to do that last year, but shooting doesn't show up in the winning column all the time. And so we've put a big emphasis on defending the basketball. Some of that's athleticism and length that you have to throw in there. I don't think it was lack of effort last year. Some of it was, we weren't big at every position other than our center spot. So I think that should help us this year. And then rebounding. We were a good defensive rebounding team last year, but we didn't get second attempts. And so with the size and athleticism we have, we're hopeful we can get more attempts or more offensive rebounding opportunities for us. But if we can defend, rebound at a high level, and continue to progress in shooting the ball like we did, then it gives you a chance to compete every night, not only in our league, but the out-of-conference opponents.
If you're a casual basketball fan and watching the show right now, Coach, how would you kind of describe your brand of basketball? Is it Golden State and score 130 points and just, outrun the other guys? Or is it like a 54-50 kind of game? You're just going to grind it out, possession basketball? Are you somewhere in the middle?
You know what I think would like to be Golden State or Toronto this year.
Right?
Yeah. But, we do spread the floor out and we do shoot a lot of threes, but we're able to do that because we have good interior post players. And you mentioned Callum McCray. I think we have one of the better posts in the league, and we have him for the next 3 years. And I didn't talk about Angus McWilliam, who was our addition from TCU. He's 6'11", 250, and him and Callum have played with each other and against each other their whole life. So when you have two guys that size in the post, it hopefully opens up the floor to be able to shoot the basketball. So we want to play up and down, but we want to also put the ball in the post and try to take advantage of our size in the post there.
Do you think size-wise you're going to be one of the bigger teams in the Big West Conference? And, a lot of the, we see 6'7" centers or whatnot in the Big West, like some smaller lineups. You guys might be the biggest team around?
I think Irvine's always big,
Irvine's
as we know. But I think we're big in stature. We're big,
big hearts.
we're big in on the stat sheet. Like when we walk in the gym, we look like a Power 5 team. Now whether we play like one will be determined. So I think we'll be one of the bigger teams. My hope is that we'll be one of the tougher teams, and if we can do that, then we give ourselves a good chance to finish higher up in this league this year.
Coach, have you been to China before?
I have. I was fortunate to go for the Beijing Olympics.
Okay.
One of my former players, Patty Mills, who plays with the Spurs, played in his first Olympics there, so got to go see him, and it's fortunate that he'll be still playing on this team and being able to go back this year, but it's a little different than Riverside.
As just being a basketball nut over here, I love hoops. Can you name drop who were some of the guys on the Australian national team that people might recognize?
I think you'll be familiar with Andrew Bogut, who was our first number one pick, Australia's first number one pick in the draft, and he's
still going strong.
And he's coming to the end of his career, but he's still finished up in Australia this year and finished with the Warriors. We have Aron Baynes, who was with the Celtics, who just signed with the Phoenix Suns. We have multiple NBA championship winners in Matthew Dellavedova and Patty Mills. And so those two, and then we're hopeful, if Ben Simmons decides to play, he's not a bad addition either.
No.
If he plays. But we have a good core group, and that group lost to Team USA at the Olympics 2 years ago by 1 point. So it's a team that's been on the stage and been together for a long time. So we're hopeful that their experience can help moving forward here.
When you're in an environment like that with other coaches at the global level, do you pick up little things still here and there, and you're like, hey, man, I'm going to try that back with the Highlanders. That might work for us too.
Look, when they initially asked me, my first and foremost deal was how does that help me in UCR and help the Highlanders? And I'm fortunate that it's during our summer break when the games are on. But our coaching staff, I have Luke Longley, who our older guys may know.
Chicago Bulls.
Yeah, who's an assistant coach who played with Michael Jordan. I'm alongside him, I should say. And we have Andre Lamanis, who's our head coach, I can pick up a lot from them, and you can pick up a lot from the other teams that we're playing. The game has become so global that you look at Serbia, Croatia, Lithuania, who's in our poll. They help mold the game of basketball in the NBA. So to be able to be in the same arenas with those teams and be able to scout them, there are definitely some nuggets I can try to bring back here and hopefully help us.
Well, Coach, we always appreciate the time. Best of luck in China, and I guess you can just keep your bags packed, right? And just keep making your way around the world.
No doubt. Hopefully I can find a Highlander out there on the road as well. But thanks so much for having us on your show, and we really appreciate it at UCR.
Anytime, Coach. We love having you here, so we appreciate it. That's David Patrick, UCR men's basketball coach.